the lady with the lamp. I mean, we get lots of depictions of Florence Nightingale with her lamp. She did walk the wards, but she didn't really nurse. I mean, she was just checking.
Was she like a foreman, basically?
Yes, yes.
Did you know, in the research of like Florence Nightingale, because she's an historical figure, did your attitude towards a change, or did you find out things about it that you were quite surprised at, or?
Actually, that's a good question. I don't really know. I didn't really. I mean, I knew the myth. I knew what she'd done for hospitals. I mean, thank goodness for people like Florence Nightingale. I mean, I'd rather be in hospital now with all the problems than in 1854. I tell you. I mean, it was pretty awful, and nurses weren't as nice as they are now. But Florence Nightingale, no, I did know a fair amount about her beforehand. I did some research for the short story, and I kind of knew things. It's amazing. I learnt a lot at school, and we knew the myth, and my son was into historical stuff, and I'd read a lot of Ladybird books and that, and and I think I kind of absorbed it slowly. So when I did research on it, but I only researched the couple of years they were out. Well, 3 years they were out. Yeah. Out there from the time they chose the nurses to, or the time she was asked to be superintendent of hospitals to the time they came back. I wasn't very interested in her, to be perfectly honest.
We were led to believe, weren't we, that she was wonderful and everybody liked her. She was tough. Yeah, that's the myth. Well, I have put something about that in politely. She was a hard task mistress, yes, and a lot of the nurses didn't like her at all. And I mean, there were a lot of the ordinary women that actually went out there, because there were a few ladies. I can't find out exactly how many ladies, and I wasn't really interested in kind of pursuing that. I've got 2 ladies out there, and there were quite a few nuns, and there were just ordinary people going out to nurse, a few that had nursed before. But nurses had got such a bad reputation. But I mean, they were drunkards. A lot of them were really bad. But when the women got out to Scutari, the conditions were so bad. I mean, they were paddling in mud. And I think the title "Blood on Their Petticoats" actually does, unlike that title, describes what it was like, because they were literally paddling in blood and feces and urine, and I mean it was vile. And the stench. Didn't know what they were going to let themselves in. No, they hadn't got it. I mean, Florence Nightingale thought that the conditions where they were going to live in the barrack hospital was going to be a little bit better. But when they got there, it was vile, and they had to scrub. They spent the first few days scrubbing out their own quarters, so that they could live in them. And they lived in one of the turrets, and then they started on the hospital, and of course the doctors were very suspicious that they didn't want nurses there. They got these orderlies who couldn't have cared a damn about the patients. But the doctors the surgeons were actually operating. There were no screens. They were amputating in front of patients, and I mean it was horrendous. And Florence Nightingale changed this. She actually got screens, and they had very little equipment and this kind of thing. And she did get that hospital working as a hospital, or that building working as a hospital. I mean, it was built as an army barracks. And also there was another building just a little bit further down. And if anybody likes Google Earth, I don't know whether Google Earth. What would you do without Google Earth? I found my way here via Google Earth. Zoomed in. You can zoom in on the barracks and on the hospitals, and it's wonderful to be able to do that and to see what it was like. I mean, because I couldn't get out to Istanbul. I'm still hoping to go, but now Florence Nightingale was a tough lady. And I mean, when you think about it, I'm not knowing a lot about what happened when she got back from the Crimean War, but she took to her bed. I mean, she'd been ill when she was out there, but she came back. She took to her bed for, I believe, years. I don't know, 2 or 4 years, something like that. I can't remember. I haven't researched that.
and I kind of, who takes their bed for that length of time? But she did. She has done a lot for us, and I mean.